Hey everybody, Will here, and today I'm doing a quick follow-up to my DJI prop test video. And if you watch that video, you know one of my favorite props of that video is actually the Counterfeit 9443s from Amazon. Now, before I finished that video, I discovered that the set that I had got were actually really great, and that they're normally pretty bad. I just got very lucky with that set, but just to tell you really quickly the reason I really liked it so much, first of all, it was one of the best times. It was the second best time after one of the carbon fiber props. But of course it was much cheaper, and on top of that, what I found out is I really like the plastic construction. It's just so much more durable compared to the carbon fiber sets that I got that I had to work on quite a bit. And then they just chipped really easily, and these are just taking hit after hit, and they'll still be pretty much 100%. So I really like that aspect of it, but I was also not happy with the way the counterfeit products turned out. They didn't have good quality control. And so quickly I'm going to talk about that problem and then also compare them with one last timed flight against genuine 9443s, which I have right here from DJI, and then also I got their newest design, which is the 9450s. And these are supposed to increase efficiency even more. So I'm excited to try these out. Now, just to show you really quickly how the counterfeit props come, they are in some Ziploc bags here. If you look at the genuine DJI products, they have a little cardboard tab at the top with all the DJI branding and all the information about the props. But in addition to their packaging, the main differences of the counterfeit ones versus the genuine ones, you'll see that on the prop itself, in addition to some of the lock this way, turn this way stuff and model 9443 on it, you'll see that it has a branding of O-XOXO on it. This is the props that a lot of people who are buying counterfeit DJI props seem to be getting. So they have that marking on them, and to compare again, these have the DJI marking on them, just very tiny here. Now, apart from that, that is the only real difference. If you look on the underside, they don't seem to be either one balanced at all. That first set I got did seem to be balanced. It did have some, you can tell the texture of the plastic was slightly different where it had been scraped away, but these all look completely unbalanced here. So putting them aside, apart from that, you'll notice the 9443s, again, they feel very similar. They both flex towards the tips like this. And if you compare it to the 9450s, these are just much more thicker material here. It's a lot thicker, especially towards the ends, but also the pitch of the blades are slightly different. You can't really tell by looking at them, but they are slightly designed differently. So apart from that, very similar. And I have here to show you really quickly about the balancing aspect of it. This is my newer prop balancer. This is the Dubro prop balancer. A lot of people recommend it as kind of like the main one to get. So I did, and then I also have a balance rod for these self-tightening props. Both of these things I also got online at Amazon. You can check the video description for that. And you can see I marked on one side of the rod with a little black mark, so I know that this is going to be for a black tipped propeller, and that just makes it a little bit easier. And if I throw one on here real quick, this is a 9445, and I put it on the prop balancer. It just goes in like here over the top of one and under through the hole in the other. And I let it go there. You can see that's not bad. That's a pretty well balanced prop. So you can see you put it at a couple different angles to check where it's heavy. This one does need a little bit of work, but it's pretty close compared to a lot of the props that I've seen, not made by DJI. So here, if I go to another one right here, see that one's pretty much dead on. I mean, it seems like they are being balanced somehow. Or they just have really amazing quality control, because this one looks really dead on. I wouldn't really touch this one. I haven't had a ton of the DJI props. It's pretty much just these two sets so far, so I can't speak about all of them in their entirety. I think at the end of the day, if you take this stuff seriously, you could probably fly with the DJI stuff unbalanced. But if you're serious about making really clean video, you probably should get a balancer just to confirm it. This one, again, though, I probably would not touch. Last of the 9443s. This one needs a little bit of work. You can see it went down. You could the speed it goes down to will tell you pretty much how much stuff you have to take off. Clearly this one needs a little bit of work. So this is a pretty good set right here. Moving on to, this is why I got the plastic, why I like the plastics for their durability, by the way. So going back to the 9450, I'll put this one on here, first 9450 from DJI. So you can see this one again is pretty close. This one definitely needs a little bit of work before it's completely balanced. And these two sets are completely untouched, by the way. This one looks perfect to me, so. And then here's another one. Oh. This one looks good to me. And the last 9450. Yep, I mean, this one looks good too. Yeah, I'm not sure if they are hand balanced or they have a machine doing it that's doing a really good job, but these are really impressive. So there's just 3 of those 8 that I'm gonna be balancing a little bit. And now to move over to the Counterfeit 9443s from Amazon, the XOXO ones, or O-XOXO. And you can see that difference. You can see the speed at which the heavy one drops, and it's got enough momentum to go up, and it just starts swinging. So this one's clearly unbalanced, and you could much worse than even the best or the worst one of those. So this one needs to be balanced. Same exact deal. This one's probably worse. Yep. This one needs some work. This one definitely needs some work. This one's probably worse than the others. So you can tell those other ones that I did, you could probably fly with, and there might be a little bit of vibrations, but you might not notice. These ones, I think if you threw them on like this, you would notice. It would look like some of those other props that I was having some serious vibrations with. Again, the last one on this set, not balanced. So definitely not good there. Going back to, I have 3 of the set that I used in the last video. These are the ones I was really impressed with. Again, they did have the scuff marks on it. I'm just curious to check how they are. And actually, oddly, the hub too looks like the finish of the genuine DJI product compared to this one. Actually, it doesn't show as much with the black ones. Let me show you the silver one here. See, completely different there compared to genuine DJI. So not sure what's going on there, but these definitely have hand balanced marks on it. And let's throw these on the balancer real quick. Same listing, same seller even. One time I got this, one time I got these. So that's what happens when you order counterfeit stuff. See, a lot better. It's not balanced still. I'd say much more like these, the genuine DJI props that need to be balanced. Not bad at all. Same deal, pretty close. Yep, same sort of situation. They all need a little bit of balancing, but they're much, much better off than these were out of the bag. So that's partially why people were having some problems with these, but I don't think that's the main problem. What I discovered is actually it's not the balancing of the blades that's the problem. It's actually the hubs, and not even the balance of the hubs. It's the actual inside of the hubs that is the big problem. Let me show you a brand new set, because I'm sure these will have the same problem as well. If I take them, and actually let me show you real quickly with these. The cool thing about the self-tightening props is just they're super easy to install. And it's a toolless operation. You just put them on and figure out which way they spin them, and it'll stop when it pretty much reaches the bottom. If you hold the motor and pull it, it'll have maybe a slight degree of twist to it, but there it's on and it's ready to go. And that happens consistently with every single one. See, that one almost, this one I'll show you the problem with this hub in a second, but this is actually not the prop that had a problem there, but they will all spin. See, and then it'll stop when it's there. So, and the thing is, these basically the way they twist when they're running their motors, pull it into itself. So they're not gonna come off during flight, and when you're done flying, even after they tighten themselves, you can just hold the motor and spin them off without any tools usually. Sometimes you'll need the tool to help get some leverage on there. But they'll come off just as easily most of the time. So those are the genuine products, and they are all 100% always like that I found. And moving on to these really quickly, let me see if I can throw these on here. See if they can do the same thing. No, they can't. They cannot spin on. So some of them will. That one doesn't. That one sort of can. It's pretty good. This one is actually probably okay. But it's definitely not quite as smooth, and you hear it scraping a little bit. It's just not machined quite as well. And a lot of people say it's the threads, but I don't think it's the actual threads. I think it is actually the smooth part right below the threads. And if you look on these motors, this one specifically, you can see one that I've kind of forced on there is a little bit ground down. You can see clearly it was scraping against the lower part underneath the threads. And that's not a good thing, and that just kind of goes to show you the quality control that's going on with these. But also, and this is the first flight I had with the first set of these, I found out the biggest problem, and just to demonstrate real quickly, if you take the Phantom and put it upside down, all the tips should touch the table at the exact same point. There's 4 of them, and they should all be touching. Now, when I did this with the bad props that I had a really terrible flight from, I just took off, and it was suddenly shifting its location, moving around. And I did this with them because I thought one of them was slightly off, and sure enough, you had this sort of situation go. And that is because of the hub, I had thought it was screwed in all the way because it went on smoothly for the first half, but then it got stuck, and I thought it was on, and I couldn't even turn anymore. It was just that bad, that particular prop. And so it just didn't seat itself completely low enough. It wasn't level with all the other props. And that's what caused the really bad vibrations and really bad flying. So just to show you really quickly, if you want to try to use these props, what you should probably do if you encounter any sort of a resistance is grab a drill and a drill bit. And I am using on this one I believe it's a 5/16 inch drill bit. And if you take a genuine DJI prop, you'll put it in there, and you'll see it's pretty much a perfect fit there. All of them, again, if you could test them out, all, and they'll all be great. And it fits in there perfectly. And just to show you, here's the prop that I had before that was having issues. And you can see, I mean, you can kind of wedge it on, but it's not the same. It doesn't spin, it's too tight. So what I do is I put them on the drill, and I just drilling it very, very slowly, just kind of guide it on there and keeping it straight. Just let it scrape a thin layer off. And there you can see some shavings on the table. You don't have to worry about hurting the threads because it kind of gets much thinner before it gets to the threads, and your tip won't let you go that far unless you're forcing it. Again, this is just a very gently hold it, go slowly, and let it kind of clean that surface off. And once you've done that, you'll see that it'll just be like a normal propeller, and it'll go in there all the way, and it'll be seated fine. And that sort of fixes that problem. But definitely not a good problem to have. And that's probably the reason a lot of people are saying their Phantom goes insane when they put these props on, is because it's not completely level and it's having that issue. And it's not the threads either. It doesn't seem to be the threads. It seems to be the actual lower part of the hub. So that is a problem with these. And if you're willing to deal with it, I'm willing to deal with it right now to test them out. I'm going to be balancing a set of 4 of the 9443s from Amazon, the non-genuine ones, against a set of genuine 9443s, and then a set of 9450s in the same style test that I did in the last video. So right now I'm just gonna balance all the final props and then do that test. And the winner is the genuine 9443s from DJI. In a close second was the counterfeit 9443s, and in dead last is the 9450s by quite a bit. Now, I should mention that I looked a little bit more into the 9450s, and they are actually more about improving your thrust and not really your efficiency. And so I did a couple of little tests. It was hard to do kind of inside, but I was doing a little bit of agility test, and one thing I did notice is that its vertical acceleration, and particularly its deceleration, was pretty improved on the 9450s. The 9443s have this kind of thing that it's a little bit scary flying inside, because when you go full, basically I was going full throttle up and then full throttle down, and the 9443s take some time to really come to a stop. They'll really kind of go up and hang for a second before they go down, and the 9450s were just so much more responsive in that vertical up and down movement. And so I'll put a link on this video too. There were a few other people that made some video tests of the 9443s versus the 9450s in terms of their speed, their land speed and their acceleration up and down, and that seems to be where they have some great improvements. And so I would check those out. If you're interested, then there is a place for the 9450s, but if you're short on flight time, they're going to hurt you. But if you're doing, like, you want to track cars, if you've got your flight time and you're good and you want to track cars or just do more action stuff, they might be for you. But for flight time, the 9443s are going to be the way to go. Now, I was a bit surprised by the 9443s, the genuine ones, and the non-genuine ones. Once again, I get about less than 30-second difference between the two. And again, the non-genuine ones cost a third of the genuine ones. So that might be an option for someone. Again, if you get them, know that you have to spend some more time with them. All the genuine props, the 9450s and the 9443s, really seem like they could be flown perfectly out of the bag. About 25% of them were ever so slightly off and needed a little bit of balancing. I would really recommend you get a balancer and the self-tightening prop balancer to confirm that they're all good. But really, I think you could probably buy brand new DJI props and just fly them as is. The counterfeit ones, on the other hand, you absolutely should not. You definitely have to balance them. They were all considerably out of balance. Not terribly, by the way. All the carbon fiber props, even the Helipal expensive ones that I got, were $40. The most expensive props on the last test were just as unbalanced as these. You just have to balance them. And the more unbalanced they are, the more time they take too. But again, for a third of the price, for some people, that's going to be the better thing to do. Definitely make sure you get a 5/16 inch drill bit to check the hub on these things though, because that's where I think people are running into the most trouble with the O-XOXO props. So I think that's my overall recommendation, is just get the plastic 9443s. If you got a lot of money and really just want to fly and don't like all this technical stuff and balancing stuff, get the genuine ones. If either you're on a budget or you don't mind doing that work, get the counterfeit ones. They'll be fine. Apart from that, you'll notice that I do not have the prop guards on this thing anymore. I was noticing outdoors, particularly if there was a little bit of wind, that I had a little bit of a harder time controlling the plane. It just seemed to pick up wind a little bit more, and then also the prop guards really stuck in the frame quite a bit. First of all, they're lower than the props, so they get way more in the frame, and also if you get a little bit of the tips of the props, white props in the sky, you can deal with it sometimes, and I was just having to crop too much out with these things, and so I decided to lose them. I was also hearing that stuff about it being harder to control and it picking up wind. So I think outdoors, I'm just going to lose them from now on. I still cannot recommend them highly enough for indoor flight. I got a chance to use them once again when I was doing the agility test with the 9450s. I just bumped into the wall. And again, it was perfectly fine. This place that I have here, I like to fly through the beams and stuff too. And I'm still probably going to be flying with them indoors with the prop guards on. So I still think they're a great thing. I did want to test, though, what sort of damage they're doing in these sort of flight conditions, the indoor tests. So I used the same batteries and everything, and I flew them with the prop guards on and off on the 9443s, the genuine 9443s. And I saw about 30-second difference between having the prop guards on, lost me about 30 seconds of flight time. And again, that's on a 5-minute flight. So if you're running a Phantom 2 and you have like a 20-minute flight time, you might be losing close to 2 minutes at the least, ignoring the outdoor wind stuff. So definitely not helping our flight time. And I think after you kind of are a little bit more confident, I love them even indoors. I'm pretty confident now, but they're helpful. But if you're in a situation where you're not flying in close quarters, I think lose the prop guards. They are only hurting you. And then the very last thing I wanted to mention that you'll notice is that the times on all of these props, all 3 sets, were lower than the time I got on the counterfeit props on the last tests that I did. And I was wondering why that was. I actually did the test a total of 3 times because, again, the 945, I was being the clear loser, and also that issue with the overall flight time was bothering me. I want to make sure I got it right. And I decided one thing that had happened is I had actually done the first test I'd say about 2.5 months before this test. I just didn't get to editing it. I did the test quite a long time ago. And I thought maybe it's the batteries. Maybe the batteries are slowly losing their life. And so I bought a brand new Phantom 2200 milliamp battery. And sure enough, that was it. The new battery I got gave me about 2 minutes extra on every single prop, compared to, again, these 2 batteries, which I bought at the same time and have been using fairly heavily, remained neck and neck through every single test. I did 2 batteries, again, to be kind of scientific about it. But I wasn't expecting them to lose their life that fast. Again, 2 minutes a brand new battery gave me for every single prop. So actually that is pretty much in line with the test I did before. I think at the end of the day, I really like the plastic props, and I think the 9443s are the ones to get if you're looking at flight time. And again, between the counterfeit ones and the non-counterfeit ones is really up to you. I think they will both work great. But that's puts me in a kind of a better feeling, a much more respectable time. And I'm going to talk a ton about batteries in my next big Phantom video, because that's really where I'm going to make up the loss. Right now, what I've been doing with the props, and I'm testing the time with the prop guards and stuff, and the little things here or there, that's really just messing with the multiplier. What's really going to set my time and how long my flight time is going to be my battery configuration, which right now with a single 2200 milliamp battery is just not enough. It's not good. We're going to be bumping that up by quite a lot. So stay tuned for all of that stuff, because that is going to be coming up next. A whole bunch of information about batteries too. There's a lot to learn if you haven't. This is the first time, this is the project, is the first time I've been messing with lithium polymer batteries. So learning a lot of new things, and that is going to be it though for this video. Make sure you check the video info for links to all of the props and the gear that I have here. As well as make sure you're subscribed to the channel, and on Facebook. I'm going to be making some other posts too of little project things that I've got going on with this Phantom that might not make it into a video. So make sure you're subscribed and all ready for that stuff. And otherwise, that is going to be the end of this video. Thanks for watching.